Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to listen to me right now. I ain't here to sugarcoat nothing. I'm here to tell you the truth, the real, raw, honest truth that might just change your life if you let it. You got to kill that weak version of yourself. Yeah, I said it. That version of you that keeps hitting snooze when life is calling. That version that's scared to fail, scared to try, scared of what other people gonna think. That version that settles, that doubts, that procrastinates, that keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow, but never does. That version gotta go. We all carry two versions of ourselves. There's the strong version, the one with big dreams, drive, and discipline. And then there's that weaker version, the one that keeps showing up when things get hard, the one that whispers you're tired when you need to push, the one that tells you to play it safe when you know you were built for more. That version, it's got to go. But before you can kill that weak version of yourself, you have to identify it. You've got to call it out by name. You've got to be real enough with yourself to say, yeah, that's me. That's who I've been, and I don't like it. See, most people don't even realize they're being run by their weaker self. They think that's just how life is. They think waking up tired, doubting themselves, quitting on their goals, or settling for average is normal. But that's not life. That's not destiny. That's default. And default is dangerous. Because if you don't consciously choose who you want to be every single day, your weaker self will choose for you. That weak version of you is comfortable. It knows every excuse in the book. It knows how to rationalize laziness, how to justify fear, how to make quitting look reasonable. It tells you it's okay to take a break today. Then tomorrow it says the same thing. And before you know it, a day becomes a week becomes a month, and your dreams start gathering dust. And let me tell you, this version of you, it loves company. It surrounds itself with people who also gave up on their goals. People who say things like it is what it is, or not everyone's meant to make it. Misery loves company, and the weak version of you will try to keep you in that same cycle of mediocrity. You've got to break away from that. You've got to recognize those patterns and ask yourself, is this the life I really want? It might feel uncomfortable to admit this. It might even sting a little. But self-honesty is the beginning of transformation. You cannot kill what you refuse to acknowledge. So you've got to go deep. You've got to sit with yourself and ask, where am I slacking? Where am I playing small? What am I afraid of that's holding me back? And most importantly, what would my life look like if I actually became the strongest version of me? When you start asking those questions, you start pulling the mask off that weak self. You see it for what it really is, not protection, but prison. Not safety, but sabotage. The truth is, the weak version of you isn't really you. It's a survival mechanism. It's that little voice created from past failures, rejections, fears, and doubts. But you don't have to live by that voice anymore. You have a choice. You can decide today that you're done letting the scared, tired, excuse-making version of you run your life. So take a long look in the mirror. Be brutally honest. Identify that weak self. Understand its patterns. Learn its language. Because once you know how it moves, you can outgrow it. You can silence it. You can rise above it. That's when the real transformation begins. And once you've identified that weak version, trust me, you'll be ready to bury it. See, everybody wants success. Everybody wants to be admired, respected, and fulfilled, but very few are willing to walk through the pain that comes with becoming that kind of person. Why? Because the road to greatness ain't lined with comfort. It's lined with early mornings, late nights, hard decisions, and setbacks. It's lined with failure, rejection, loneliness. in moments where you doubt yourself so much you don't know if you can keep going. And yet, those exact moments are what mold you. Those moments are where the growth happens. The problem is too many people run from those moments. The second things get hard, they retreat. The moment discomfort shows up, they hit the brakes. Oh, I'm tired. I'm not motivated. Maybe this isn't for me. No, maybe you just don't want it bad enough yet. Because when you want something bad enough, you're willing to go through the uncomfortable. You're willing to bleed for it. Comfort feels good, but it kills potential. You can't stay in the comfort zone and expect your life to level up. The comfort zone is where dreams go to die quietly. It's where people sit on talents they never use, ideas they never act on, and goals they talk about but never chase. Because chasing them requires change. And change, that's uncomfortable. Discomfort is the currency you pay for growth. You want to be more confident? You're going to have to step into situations that scare the hell out of you. You want to get fit? You're going to have to suffer through the workouts, say no to junk food, and show up when you're sore. You want to build a business? That means sleepless nights, failed attempts, and investing in things that might not pay off right away. Every level of your life will demand a different version of you, and that version is never born in ease. Look at any champion, any successful person, any legend. You'll find pain in their process. But what separates them from the rest isn't that they didn't feel the discomfort, it's that they faced it. They embraced it. They used it. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the mindset shift. You have to train your brain to see discomfort not as a sign to stop, but as a signal that you're doing something right. That pressure you feel, that's growth knocking on the door. That burn in your muscles, that fear in your chest, that voice telling you to quit, that's the exact moment you have to keep going. Because what's on the other side of that is your next level. If you keep choosing comfort, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. And if where you are isn't where you want to be, then that should scare you more than any discomfort ever could. So here's the truth. You have to stop chasing easy. Easy won't get you anywhere worth going. Start chasing better. Start chasing growth. And understand that with growth comes pain. With progress comes pressure. But with both comes transformation. When you learn to lean into the hard, to fight through the resistance, and to stay locked in when it's tempting to walk away, you become dangerous, you become powerful, you become unshakable. That's where greatness lives. Not in the easy, not in the convenient, but in the struggle, in the grind, in the places most people run from. So step into it, don't avoid the discomfort, embrace it. That's how you rise. Where you are right now is not the end of your story. Let that sink in. Too many people treat their current situation like it's permanent, as if the struggle they're going through is where they'll always be. But your circumstances are not your identity. Your past does not define your future. Your setbacks, your failures, your losses, they're not the conclusion. They're just the middle chapters. See, life will throw you into the dirt sometimes. That's just part of the game. You'll lose people, you'll get rejected, you'll fail, you'll be broke, you'll feel forgotten. And in those moments, it's easy to believe the lie that this is all there is. But I'm here to remind you, this ain't the finish line. Just because it's hard now doesn't mean it always will be. Struggle is not a life sentence, it's a season. But whether you grow through it or get stuck in it depends on your mindset. Too many people let their current struggle convince them that they're not meant for more. They settle because the pain becomes familiar. They accept the struggle as their identity when in reality it's just a training ground. Every successful person you admire went through something. Some of them hit rock bottom, some of them lost everything, but they didn't stay there. They didn't look at their life and say, well, I guess this is it. No, They used the pain as fuel. They turned their rock bottom into the foundation they built greatness on. Steve Harvey, man, he was homeless, slept in his car for years. Nobody believed in him, but he believed in himself, and that belief carried him through the darkness. He didn't let his struggle define him. He let it refine him. That's the difference. And that same power lives in you. You might be going through something right now. Maybe you feel lost. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe life knocked you flat on your face. But guess what? If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose. Don't you dare count yourself out because of where you are today. That job you hate, that heartbreak you're nursing, that bank account that's low, that feeling of not being enough, that's not your final chapter. That's the plot twist before the comeback. That's the scene in the movie where it looks like the hero won't make it. But you know what happens next, don't you? They rise. But you've got to be willing to believe in that rise before you see it. You've got to tell yourself, this is temporary. This is preparation. This is not who I am. It's what I'm going through. And let me tell you, sometimes the hardest thing to do is have faith in the middle, when the finish line isn't in sight, when the breakthrough hasn't come yet, when the doors are still closed. It's hard to believe. But that's exactly when belief matters the most. Anybody can believe when life is easy. But believing in yourself when everything around you is falling apart, that's power. So don't define yourself by your current situation. Don't build your identity on your struggles. Build it on your resilience, on your ability to get back up, on your refusal to quit, because one day you'll look back at this moment, the one that felt like the end, and realize it was just the beginning. Keep going, keep grinding, keep believing. Where you are right now is just the setup for the version of you that's about to change everything. There comes a time in every person's life when they've got to stop negotiating with their weaker self. You can't keep giving that voice inside your head the microphone. You can't keep letting it steer the wheel. You have to speak to it. And not just speak, but speak with authority. That version of you, the one that's insecure, lazy, scared, full of doubt, needs to be. See, the weak version of you is always talking. It's that voice that says, you're too tired today. What if you fail? What will they think? You don't have what it takes. And the problem is, most people don't even challenge that voice. They just listen to it. They obey it. They assume it's telling the truth. But that voice isn't your truth. It's your trap. You've got to flip the script. You've got to look that weak voice in the eye and say, no more. Not with hesitation, not with fear, but with power, with conviction. The same way a boss checks someone out of line, the same way a lion roars to remind the jungle who's in charge. That's how you need to address your weaker self. And the way you do that is with your words. Words have power. You've been letting the wrong words dominate your mind for too long. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, you need to say, I was built for more than this. Instead of thinking, I always mess things up, you need to declare, I learn, I grow, and I level up every time. You don't have to wait until you feel confident to start speaking like it. You speak it until you feel it. Think about this. If you had a friend who talked to you the way your weak self does, would you let them stick around? If someone followed you around saying, you're not capable, you'll never make it, why even try? You'd cut them off. So why do you let that version of yourself keep talking unchecked? Enough is enough. You need to take that voice, sit it down, and say, I'm not who I used to be. I'm not playing small anymore. I'm not apologizing for having big goals. I'm not letting fear stop me. You had your time, but now I run the show. That's self-leadership. That's how transformation begins. It doesn't start when the world claps for you. It starts in the quiet moments when you decide you're no longer going to be ruled by your fears and limitations. Now let me be clear. This isn't about pretending you don't have doubts. It's not about faking perfection. It's about recognizing that you have the authority to choose which voice gets the final say in your life. Every day you've got a decision to make. Am I going to listen to the voice that holds me back or the one that calls me forward? You've got to make it a daily practice. When you wake up, speak life over yourself. When fear creeps in, shut it down. When that weak voice says you can't, respond with watch me. You are not the sum of your doubts. You are the product of what you decide to believe and do in the face of them. And the more you speak with authority to that weak version of you, the quieter it becomes. It starts to fade. It starts to lose control. And in its place, a new voice rises. The one that pushes you, believes in you, and leads you. So take back your power. Be the voice that drowns out the noise. Speak like the person you're becoming, not the one you're trying to leave behind. That weak version of you has had the mic for long enough. It's your turn now. The moment you decide to let go of the weak version of yourself, something powerful happens. You create space for the stronger you to step in. See, the person you want to become is already inside of you, waiting for a chance to show up. But that version can't rise while you keep making room for the weaker self. You can't be both the victim and the victor. You've got to choose. Think of it like this. Your mindset, your habits, your daily decisions, they're either feeding the weak version of you or making way for the powerful one. Every time you hit snooze, every time you make an excuse, every time you back down from a challenge, you're giving energy to the version of you that keeps you stuck. But when you start saying no more to that behavior, when you cut off the lifeline to your excuses, you start to make room for growth, for strength, for the kind of person who doesn't just dream but executes. Letting go of the weak self isn't just about motivation, it's about identity. You've been living as someone less than who you truly are. You've been shrinking, dimming your light, watering yourself down to make life feel safe, but you weren't born to be safe. You were born to lead, to build, to rise, to inspire. And to do that, the strong version of you needs room to breathe. And that stronger self, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for the right mood or perfect timing. It wakes up early. It shows up when no one's watching. It keeps going when motivation is gone. It speaks life instead of fear. It walks with purpose. That version is disciplined, resilient, focused, and hungry. But you can't unlock that person until you bury the one who keeps standing in the way. Let me ask you something. What are you still holding on to that belongs to the old you? What patterns, what habits, what beliefs? Maybe it's the belief that you're not worthy. Maybe it's the need for approval. Maybe it's the comfort of staying unseen. All of those things feel safe because they're familiar, but they're also keeping you average. They're keeping you in a mental prison with the door wide open. The stronger you doesn't need safety, it needs freedom. Freedom to move, to speak, to lead, to take action. That freedom comes when you stop identifying with your past and start claiming your future. You don't need to keep proving why the old you existed. You need to step fully into why the new you is necessary. This isn't just about improving your habits. It's about stepping into a completely different identity. It's about becoming the type of person who doesn't need external validation to know they're on the right path. Someone who leads their life with vision and action. Someone who no longer entertains self-mastery. But here's the catch. You can't do both. You can't keep making decisions from your weaker self and expect to live the life your stronger self was built for. You have to pick a side. You have to get serious about becoming. That means letting go of some things. It might mean walking alone for a while. It might mean facing your fears head on. But on the other side of that discomfort is the life you've been dreaming about. So Say goodbye to the weak version. Stop feeding it. Stop listening to it. Stop letting it run your life. Because the second you stop giving it power, the stronger you steps in. And when that version takes over, watch how fast everything changes. Your energy, your confidence, your results, your whole life. The stronger you is ready. All it needs is space. Too many people are waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting for motivation to strike or for some sign from the universe that now's the moment to change. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no magic day when the stars align and everything feels easy. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself and step into the person you were born to be, you've got to take action today. You don't need another pep talk. You don't need more planning. You need to move because action creates momentum and momentum creates change. Sitting still, overthinking, procrastinating, that's how you stay stuck. That's how the weak version of you wins. That part of you thrives in indecision. It survives on hesitation. It knows that as long as you're thinking about changing, there's a moment when you've got to stop telling yourself one day and say day one. That moment is now. Because every time you delay, every time you push it to tomorrow, that weak voice gets stronger. It feeds on your delay. It convinces you that you'll do it later, after you've had more rest, after things slow down, after you feel more confident. But later never comes. Fear will always show up. Confidence only comes when you start doing the thing, not before it. Taking action today doesn't mean you have to make a huge leap. It just means you start. You wake up earlier. You say no to distractions. You commit to showing up for your goals even when it's uncomfortable. The weak version of you says, let's wait. The strong version says, let's go. You decide which one runs the show. People often think they need more time to prepare, to figure it out, to get things just right. But what you really need is urgency. You need to act like your future depends on it, because it does. The longer you wait, the more life passes you by. The dreams you had when you were 18, 25, 30, they don't wait forever. There comes a time when you've got to stop watching others live their purpose and start living yours. And let's be real, fear will never disappear. Doubt will always whisper in your ear. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the thing while you're afraid. It's waking up and saying, I'm scared, but I'm showing up anyway. That's how you build strength. That's how you build belief. Every time you show up for yourself, every time you take a step forward, you tell that weak version, you don't run me anymore. There's power in today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Today is where the shift happens. Today is when you decide enough is enough. Today is when you say, I'm tired of playing small. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Because once you start, you get stronger. Once you start, the momentum builds. But none of that happens if you stay still. So make the move, make the call, send the email, start the workout, speak the affirmation, take the risk. Whatever it is, do it today. Show your weaker self that it no longer has authority. Prove to yourself that you're serious this time. The difference between the life you have and the life you want isn't luck, it's action. And action starts now, not later, not when it's easy, now. Because if you don't act now, the weak version of you will win by default. And that's not the life you came here to live. Start where you are, use what you've got, do what you can, but whatever you do, don't wait.